Boom, boom. Let's go ahead and work with transition matrix today. On Saturday, Karina surveyed visitors to Snow Mountain with weekend passes and found that 75% of skiers plan to ski again the next day and 25% plan to move on and become snowboarders. Of the snowboarders, 95% plan to snowboard the next day and 5% plan to ski the next day. We're going to create a transition diagram to show the movement of skiers and snowboarders, and it's going to be pretty easy. All right, create a transition diagram that displays the change of skiers and snowboarders from one day to the next. All right, so I'm going to do this in two different colors. We're going to go ahead and start with the idea that we have skiers and that we also have snowboarders out here, okay? And one of the things we want to pay attention to is, let's pay attention to where they're staying. So the first thing it says that 75% of skiers plan to ski again, okay? So they are staying as skiers, and how we're gonna show that is gonna be drawing a loop, okay? And we're gonna say that skiers started skiers, they end up as skiers. I'm gonna put 0.75. And what that means is the other ones will move off to snowboarding. And so that says 25% plan to snowboard. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, out of those skiers, I know that 25% or 0.25 will become snowboarders. Now let's go off to snowboarders and figure their information out. It says that 95% plan to snowboard the next day. So it's 95%. So there we'll start with a loop there. They started snowboarding, they end up as a snowboarder. That's 0.95. The rest do become a skier. So let's draw that edge as 5%, which is 0.05. Now, as we continue this, it says develop a transition matrix. Now, matrix is going to organize our data. Okay, and it's going to organize our data for calculations later. Okay, it's going to just give us a good platform for that. So when we do that, what we're going to think about in terms of this is, well, what size matrix should we need? Well, let's go ahead and think of it in terms of a transition matrix. But what I like to think of it is now, and then what is going to happen next. Okay. And if we think about what we have got skiers now, and we're going to have skiers next. Okay. And then, of course, we have snowboarders now, and we're going to have snowboarders next. And so what we'll end up having is 2 by 2 rows and 2 columns. So let's go ahead and start organizing that information in there. So skiers now, that will be skiers next. Skiers now, that will be skiers next, or 75. Okay. And skiers now, that will be snowboarders next, is going to be 0.25. Okay. And then we go off to snowboarders. Snowboarders that will ski next. So snowboarders that will ski next is 0.05. Notice what I'm doing. I'm just using those right there. Now, snowboarders that will snowboard next, that is going to be snowboarders that stay snowboarders is going to be 0.95. And what we've done is we've organized ourselves a transition matrix that we can use for calculations later. But we're not going to focus so much on the calculations matrix as of now. Okay, so it says in Karina's survey, she surveyed 260 skiers and 40 snowboarders. How many people do each activity for the next 2 days? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want to know how many are going to ski and how many are going to snowboard. Okay, so let's go and find out how many are going to snowboard. Okay, well, one of the things we know is that we have 260 skiers and we have 40 snowboarders. Okay. Well, check out our transition matrix up above. If I want to find the skiers, I want to use my next column because this is how many are going to move. We started with 260 skiers. We started with 40 snowboarders. Now we want to know what's going to happen next. Okay. So I know 75% of skiers, 75% of skiers, okay, which is 260. What do? We multiply them. 75% of the 260. Plus 5% 0.05% of the snowboarders are going to be skiers. This is what my total is going to be for skiing. And if I go to the snowboarders, okay, I can say, well, let's go, if I want to find snowboarders tomorrow, I just go to the snowboard column for next. I'm going to say, okay, well, let's do that. I know that there's 25% of skiers are going to go to snowboarding. So 25% of skiers, which is going to be 25% of 260, plus the 95% of snowboarders that are going to stay snowboarders. So 95% of 40. And this should give us our snowboarders next and our skiing next. Now, at this point, all we need to do is go into Desmos and type that in. So I'm going to type 0.75 times 260 plus 0.05 times 40. Okay. When we do that, there it is. Okay, we're going to easily have 197. So there will be 197 skiers tomorrow. And then we go off to snowboarders. I'm going to type in the exact same thing. I'm going to say, except with the different numbers, 25% of the skiers times 260, plus the 95% of the snowboarders that are going to stay snowboarders, so 95% of 40. That's going to give us 103. Okay, so come back down here. We get snowboarders next is going to be 103. And this would be the next day. Well, okay, so this is the next day. Well, what if I wanted to go one more round? Okay, well, if I wanted to go to the third day, so this being the first with this information, this now being the second day, I'm going to go to the third day, and all I do is, instead of using 260 and 40, I'm now going to be using 197 and 103 in order to get to the next day. So I'm still going to say, well, 0.75 times 197, because 75% of the skiers, 197 of them, plus 0.05, 5% of the snowboarders, they're now 103 of them. This would be ski. And then I go to snowboard and I use the exact same thing, 0.25, 25% of our skiers, which is going to be 197, plus we need the 95% of snowboarders, but this time 95% is a larger number, it's of 103. And if we wanted to keep going to the fourth day, we keep this going using the different numbers that will come out of there. All right, hopefully that gets y'all started on transition matrix and figuring out the amount of participants as you go from one cycle to the next.